Thanks. We'll call this meeting to order March 4th, 2025. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, good morning, everyone. Happy Fat Tuesday, also known as Mardi Gras. We do have a quorum present today with 4 commissioners in physical attendance, and I believe we have Commissioner Tillman online. Good morning, Commissioner.
Hello, from sunny DC.
All right. With that, Commissioners, first order of business is the approval of the agenda, and I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Jones.
move to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slaughter. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Next, we have tab A, which is a public hearing for a budget amendment, resolution 25-03-CL-01, amending the facilities custodial budget to transfer unused funds within the capital budget. And with us this morning is Accounting Specialist Rebecca Romero. And good morning.
Good morning. Yes, so the skid steer broom that we purchased came in under 1,352.10. However, the carpet cleaner estimate is a little bit higher than they anticipated, so we would like to transfer that in. So it's not going to touch the general fund reserves. It's just moving funds.
We like that. Sounds good. Questions, commissioners? If not, we do need to open this up for a public hearing. So at this time, if there's anyone online or in the audience who would like to speak to this budget amendment, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Jones.
move to approve resolution 25-03-CL-01 in the amount of $1,352.10.
Have a motion to approve by Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slaughter. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next on the agenda is county resident comments and concerns. This time, if there's any members of the public that would wish to address the governing body, we typically give a 3-minute time limit to do such, and the floor is open. Anyone that would like to speak under public comment? Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the county resident comments and concerns portion of the agenda, and that's going to move us right along to tab B, which is the consent agenda. Before us this morning are 6 items, commissioners. First being the approval of the February 18th, 2025 meeting minutes, the approval of the county voucher, warrants, expenditure approval listings, the approval of bonds, the approval of the abates and rebates, the ratification of a letter of support for the proposed water line replacement project at the Fire Hall Recreation Complex within the Ashley National Forest, and a request to staff seasonal positions in the Facilities, Parks, and Recreation Department. Commissioners, I would ask if there's any requests to remove any items off of the consent agenda. With none, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do you have a motion to approve by Commissioner Richards? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Moving right along this morning, already ahead of schedule. It's going to bring us to commissioner comments, and Commissioner Tillman from the far land of Washington, D.C. The floor is yours.
Okay, since our last board meeting, and then I'll talk about DC. On the 18th, I attended the library board meeting, met their new board, and toured the C Street meeting room area that will be under construction later this month. On the 20th, I attended the Coalition of Local Governments meeting with updates on all the federal plans and projects. On the 24th, I attended the Joint Telecommunication Board meeting. So far this year, they're slightly under budget. They have hired a new director, Nick Erskine from Cincinnati, and Commerce Bank has been certified as their depository. On the 25th, I attended the Golden Hour Senior Center. I offered to take the commissioners to lunch when it's my turn next time, which would be May 20th. I hope you're agreeable to that. They seem really excited. They want to be able to meet with the commissioners. So I hope that you guys think that's all right. On the 26th, I flew to DC. I've been back here since then. 27th and 28th, we did a marathon tour of federal agencies. We covered 10 agencies in 2 days with 16 other Wyoming commissioners and WCCA staff. We tramped over 5 miles a day, going back and forth across the DC mall to the various agencies, from urban renewal to housing to Department of Agriculture, the Interior Department, the BLM. There were 10 of them, and the congressional delegation. So it's been an exciting. Those were really jam-packed, exciting days that were arranged by Campbell County and Converse County. So we owe them a debt of gratitude for arranging those meetings because they were very beneficial. I was able to visit personally with the new Deputy BLM Director, John Ramey, and I saw him a couple of times after that in the hall, and he assured me that the Rock Springs BLM Resource Management Plan will be aligned with President Trump's priorities soon. So they are looking to find the easiest way to update that plan without opening up to a whole new NEPA process, but we'll see what they can do. They asked a lot of good questions and seemed really interested in trying to help us figure out a way forward. So I'm very hopeful with that. I was able to present our concerns in our letter personally to the congressional delegation, also to the Department of Interior, and then later that afternoon to the BLM. None of them had acted like they had even seen our letter, even though we had sent it back to them. So it was good to be able to personally deliver it to them. Let's see. The group as a whole, we had 16 people from the Wyoming delegation, 13 other commissioners and staff from WCCA. We stress that we agree with the president's proposal to rein in waste, fraud, and abuse, but also we stress that we don't want it to be at the expense of local on-the-ground service workers in those agencies, so that the counties don't get stuck picking up the slack if they cut too many people who actually do the on-the-ground work. Representative Hageman is advocating for keeping coal in the spotlight, and our group proposed creating a national coal reserve where they would map off parts of the country that has coal and keep it open for coal if and when it needs to be available. At the NACO Public Lands Committee, we were able to get a resolution passed emphasizing the role of local governments in federal planning efforts. And today I will go back over to the Hilton Hotel and check out the Federal Agency Expo, see if I can get another run at the BLM guys, but I don't know if they'll be there. We'll see. And I will follow up with more reports on the 10 stops that we made this week at our next meeting. This week, the Conservation District meets at 4 p.m. on Thursday, and our federal partners at 9 o'clock on Friday. So I will be coming home tomorrow if I can get there. That's my report.
Thanks, Commissioner. Appreciate it. Sounds like you're having a great trip out there. I believe you said lunch would be May 20th. So I just wanted to point out that's supposed to be today. So you dodged another one. But keep up the good work.
No, I bought it last time. It's Rob's turn today, just to make it clear. So we'll be on schedule.
My mistake. Questions for... Thanks, Commissioner. Safe travels to you, and keep up the good work.
All right. It's been exciting, let me tell you, but it's nearly killed me. I caught the Washington crud. Okay, we'll see you.
With that, Commissioner Richards, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. On the 19th, I attended the monthly airport meeting. Construction on the airport is moving forward. As I related to you previously, there's been some delays in the federal grants that the airport is depending on to fund the project. But Airport Director Brubaker has been doing his best to leverage the state grants and loans he procured to keep the projects moving forward while he waits on the federal funds to come through. Our congressional delegation are still working on freeing up the FFA funds, but the longer it goes on, the more danger we'll be in getting into a rough spot financially again. Another piece of news is that the airport settled their lawsuit with PETA. As a result, PETA will be allowed to place an anti-leather ad at the airport terminal. It is crappy, but that is the lawfare world we live in right now. On the 20th, I spent the day at the events complex to hear recommendations from Insight on how to better move forward with the economic development in Sweetwater County. Folks from Insight are very blunt and very thorough, and I think they gave us some important things to consider moving forward. They'll be presenting their report in written form soon. And in the meantime, I've been working closely with SEDC Chairman Cowan and Land Use Director Bingham to brainstorm ideas on how to implement their recommendations. And we'll be presenting our ideas to the government partners and advisory boards soon. On the 21st, I remotely attended the congressional tour planning meeting on Commissioner Slaughter's behalf. Commissioner Slaughter has already done most of the work on that front, so I was mostly just a pretty face on that video call. On the 26th, I attended Southwest Counseling's board meeting. They started an hour early for a workshop hosted by a consultant who provided them with some board training, followed by their regular board meeting. During the meeting, they adopted a comprehensive plan, and they will probably be here at our next meeting to present that to us. They also worked on a draft of a new board member policy manual. That is a work in progress, and they are going to continue to workshop that. Other than that, it was mostly just regular business. And since they'll be around at our next meeting to visit with us, I won't go into any more detail. On the 27th, I attended the BOCC workshop with all of you and Public Works Director Legursky, and I think it was a very productive meeting. I know I learned a lot. I look forward to working with all of you in the coming months and years to address some of our building issues. On the 28th, I thoroughly enjoyed spending the entire morning with the Boost Leadership Academy, together with all of you and several of our countywide elected officials. Other than other elected officials and government employees, it's the largest number of interested people that I've seen in this room at one time, and it was a pleasure to share what we all do with them and have such engaging conversations with folks who are truly interested in learning about how their community functions. That brings me up to today. Going forward, I have a housing task force meeting on the 5th, followed by a meeting with Mayor Mickelson. On the 6th, I will attend the enterprise meeting at Memorial Hospital. On the 7th is our federal partners meeting. On the 12th, I'll attend the airport board meeting as well as a NACO committee meeting. On the 13th, I plan on going to the Rock Springs Chambers Connection Luncheon, followed by an SEDC advisory board meeting, and later that day, the Sweetwater County Outdoor Recreation Collaborative meeting. Tentatively on the 14th, Congresswoman Hageman is scheduling some meetings around Southwest Wyoming. And then on the 15th, she'll be holding a town hall here in Sweetwater County. And that brings me full circle back to our meeting here again on the 18th. On one final note, the Wyoming legislative session comes to an end this week. And I just want to say thank God. In my 30 plus years of paying attention, I've never seen such a dysfunctional cluster as what has happened in Cheyenne over the last couple months. I think that's all I have for you today, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Thanks, Commissioner. Appreciate the report. Any questions or comments for Commissioner Richards? If not, Commissioner Jones, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure how I'd follow that one up, but we'll give it a whirl. On February 19th, I attended the Memorial Hospital Sweetwater County Quality Meeting. Quality continues to improve in most areas that are tracked, so that's good news. Naturally, there are areas for improvement. As with most things in life, nothing is perfect, but they're working hard and making good progress. Also on the 19th, I joined our chairman along with Mr. Bingham and Mr. DeLeon for a meeting to begin the talks regarding the BLM RMP and what we will be doing going forward. Kind of making a plan, laying some groundwork out. So just a beginning meeting, and I would like to thank Commissioner Tillman. Commissioner Tillman, appreciate your work in DC and your repeated conversations with the BLM. I think we stand at least a reasonable chance of having some good news on the BLM RMP in the future. On the 20th, attended the Joint Powers Telecom Board meeting. Normal business was conducted, so not a lot to report there. On the 24th, I again joined the chairman along with Mr. Bingham, Mr. De Leon, Danielle Betancourt, and Director Archuleta to discuss the RMP. Once again, we're just kind of in the beginning stages of this with groundwork to see how we move forward, since there is no clear path just yet. On the 26th, I attended the Board of Health meeting. Several topics covered, including the overall health of Sweetwater County and some of the testing that's done around the county to see what illnesses there are in the water, but influenza and some of those things that we've all either had or know somebody who's had were discussed. Also, they did discuss there's a need for more funding. That funding will be requested from the cities of Rock Springs and Green River. They stated that if the cities can't fully fund them, they would then request additional funds from Sweetwater County. I did caution them that our revenues are not on a positive trend, so they shouldn't simply expect to receive funding from the county. On the 27th, I attended another meeting with BLM, our chairman, Mr. Bingham, Mr. De Leon, Director Archuleta, and District Manager Keeler to discuss the RMP, as well as the sage grouse plans. So both plans were discussed. I am certainly in hopes that this particular group can make some progress and work in a positive manner going forward. Also on the 27th, we met to look at our facilities and start making plans going forward. I think we have a good start there. On the 28th, along with all of us and Commissioner Tillman except Commissioner Tillman, I also attended the Rock Springs Chamber Boost Leadership Academy. Thought it was a good opportunity for leaders from our county to spend time and have some questions asked of each of us, along with our treasurer and assessor. I was impressed with the group and the questions they asked, so I hope they learned a lot. I hope it was worthwhile to them. On March 3rd, I was on 93.5 KREO radio with Johnny K. We discussed outdoor recreation, but mostly regarding snow machines and ATV side-by-sides. He also engaged me in a conversation about the BLM RMP. As once again, this is a hot topic, so seems to be fairly time consuming, which is fine. So I did mention on the radio, though, that we don't know exactly what our direction is and what our plan is yet, what we can do, but I know the public had a lot of comment and input through the beginning of the process, I should say, not through it, but in the beginning. But if anybody in the public has any comments, thoughts, questions, concerns, please reach out and be more than happy to have some discussions. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll conclude my comments.
Thanks, Commissioner. Any questions or comments for Commissioner Jones's report? With none, it looks like I'm up next. I'm just kind of winging it today. Had 2 or 3 meetings, as Commissioner Jones just spoke to, in regards to the RMP. One with the state BLM, Director Archuleta, and us, and Eric and John. Then we also met with Danielle Betancourt in regards to the sage grouse plan. Then we had another follow-up meeting with state BLM director and the local interim, district manager, just kind of discussing how to move forward and what the options may be, since the secretarial and executive orders came down from DC. Still pretty preliminary in that process. We're ahead of the game, so to speak, with the state not really having much direction from DC yet. It was shared that kind of their recommended plan moving forward would be to go through an amendment process. It's usually the quicker and easier. I don't know if easier is the right word, but certainly the quicker process. But with that, it just depends, how far into the weeds, we get. But I appreciate Director Archuleta's willingness to sit down and meet with us and hear us out. It appears as though there's a willingness there to kind of put some of the differences from the past aside and focus on, improving or amending the plan to more satisfy multi-use needs within the county. And so we'll continue to work on that. It's another complex process, looking at probably at least a year. But in the meantime, the record of decision is there and signed and into law. So we'll continue to take any opportunity we can to tweak that, particularly most likely on the special designation areas. So we'll continue to work and chip away at that, but it's nice to have some opportunity and some good discussions and hopefully reestablish a good working relationship there. Last Tuesday, I had both Young at Heart and the Events Complex monthly meetings. Pretty much business as usual for both of those. Young at Heart did report they had a very successful month in January, so they, I guess, closed the gap, so to speak. I reported last month that they were operating in the red, and so they've narrowed that down, which is always good news. The Events Complex was just a Zoom meeting because some of the staff were out of town, so it was a pretty quick one, but just business as usual for the most part there. There were some questions in regards to the budgeting process and capital and kind of where we stood this year with some of that. I tried to address it the best I could, but obviously still a little bit preliminary in that front as well. We did have a brief discussion in regards to the temporary horse stalls that the wind graciously destroyed last summer that you might recall. So I did have a follow-up meeting with HR Director McLean on Friday to look into the status of that. It sounds like he's working on getting some money back to the complex for, if nothing else, to make some repairs to those stalls. So somewhat good news on that front. Last Thursday, I guess it was, had the buildings workshop with you all over across the hall in the Castle Rock room with the purpose of just trying to figure out where we're heading with some of the different facilities. We've got obviously the combined public works facility that's under construction as we speak, which is going to vacate buildings. And so we're trying to make a plan to, I guess, account for that and whether we sell them or what that looks like. And then we have also other buildings that are somewhat sitting vacant. And so we're trying to put those to action and make a more efficient operation and look at improvements for the county at the same time. So we thought that'd be beneficial heading into budget. And Friday with you all has been mentioned, joined everyone here in the chambers for the Rock Springs Chambers Boost Leadership Academy, where they had us participate in a little mock commissioner meeting, and they got to come up here and call us to the podium and drill us with questions. So I thought that was good engagement. Like Commissioner Richards said, I thought the interest shown from the group was very good, and all the elected officials that spoke from the heart and spoke to the facts, which has been a nice change. And I don't know, I enjoyed it. I had fun with that. So I appreciate the chamber inviting us and for making it a part of their day. And aside from that, commissioners, that's pretty much all I have for now. A handful of meetings ahead. I've got a mayor and commissioners meeting tomorrow with both mayors in the Rock Springs Chamber. And I'm going to try and attend the federal partners on Friday. So with that, I'll conclude my report. Stand for any questions. With none, Commissioner Slaughter, welcome back, sir. Sorry you have to be the redundant one, but hopefully you had a good trip.
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. It's nice to be back. It was also nice to be gone. So especially looking out this morning and realizing I had to shovel 4 inches of snow. It was much more fun waking up and putting my toes in the sand. So on the 21st, as Commissioner Richards stated, he was on our call for the congressional tour. I'm not sure that he actually provided the pretty face that he was talking about, but I do appreciate his being there representing us. It's nice to come back and feel like nothing has changed. I get back and immediately Commissioner Tolman throws me under the bus, tells me that I have got to buy lunch today because I was not here at the last meeting. And I'm sure, at least I felt it was conspicuously directed at me when the commission chair referenced the fact that it was Fat Tuesday today. So don't really appreciate that much, but I feel that's how I am with my insecurities. So got back late on the night of the 23rd. On the 21st, on the 24th, I had a CWPP discussion with County Fire Warden Alan Adams and representatives from the city of Rock Springs. Alan wanted to initiate discussion with our fire partners on the concept of formulating an agreement to provide better wildfire protection in the county. Discussion centered around possible grant funding and the concept of initiating an assessment of current priorities. I think it was a good start. We have had future discussions about that, and I think that we will see some benefit from that in the future. On the 26th, I presented current county priorities and issues to the Rock Springs Kiwanis Club. It's always good to get out and interact with community members. We had a very good discussion. Always fun to get out and talk with that group. On the 27th, I attended the Green River Chamber of Commerce breakfast meeting to review 2024. Director Lisa Herrera and her staff gave an overview of the events the chamber had been involved with for calendar year 24, and they were very busy. They seemed to be picking up their activities and doing a very good job. Later that day, I met with County Land Use Director Eric Bingham to discuss the status of activities in his department. We had a good discussion, and he continued trying to help me understand the intricacies of development and planning. I think with time, Eric will be able to train me to be a fairly effective liaison for his department. As each of you have stated, we had that buildings workshop that afternoon. I think once again, it was very good, gave us a good overview of what we are facing with our buildings and some capital projects that we will have to initiate in the future. On the 28th, as all of you talked, I also attended the Boost Leadership Academy. I think it was, as stated, a very good exercise. I think there was very good participation from each of the people on that leadership group. I also appreciated all that came forth with our elected officials and felt like it was a good exercise. Yesterday, as usual, I spent the first part of my Monday afternoon updating spreadsheets and financials for the Specific Purpose Tax Joint Powers Board. New interest was added to each of the accounts, and I always try and verify that the new balances agree with my spreadsheets. Fortunately, this week, it didn't take very long, and they did. I then met again with Eric Bingham and Alan Adams. This time it was with Fire District Number 1 Chief Scott Kitchener. Alan and Scott have been discussing fire collaboration, and Scott inquired about the status of funding for the new fire apparatus that was included in our industrial siting requests. I was able to explain the process in place for distribution of ISA funds. There was some miscommunication. I think Scott felt like once that Industrial Siting Association meeting was held, that money would ultimately start coming and that it was a guarantee. So I explained to him how the process works with respect to that, and that we will not start receiving funding until the projects are started. And there is no guarantee until we have received all of that funding. So he's concerned that if we're not able to purchase the items in a timely manner, that the cost will escalate. His point was just to let us know that that was the case. He wanted to make sure that we were aware that the longer we wait, the more it will escalate. He said that there will be a price increase in April, and he expects 4 to 5% price increases, which are imminent over the next couple of years. I told him I would bring it to the commission's attention, get back to him with more information on what we intend to do with respect to those collections we will be receiving with the industrial siding. And that, once again, it's not a guarantee, but we do anticipate that we will start getting those and that those projects are going to start very quickly. His next board meeting is March 18th, and he would like to have the best information possible for his board at that point in time. Yeah, I spent the rest of the afternoon preparing for this meeting. Mr. Chairman, that gets me through to today, and I would stand for any questions.
Thanks.
Mr. Chairman,
Tolman.
I don't have a question, but I didn't tell you that I did attend a congressional tour reception with the graduates of some of the former tours, and also some prospective new people who will be coming on the tour this summer. So it was really exciting to do that. And our congressional delegation did say if we have issues, like with the airport, and I know that Commissioner Richards is already doing this, but to please let them know they are able to rather quickly get some of these things approved that have been held up, like the grants.
Good. Appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Richards.
In response to Commissioner Slaughter's comments about industrial siting, we did try to address some of that through some interim committee topics. One was a bill that would have allowed us to essentially get half the money up front for projects like that would be necessary to address the project in a timely manner. That's one of the weaknesses of industrial siding is you get some of the money after the impact has already come. That particular bill died in committee, didn't make it through. We did have another bill, SF 19, that was approved by the interim committee, was passed by the Senate Minerals Committee, was passed by the full House, was adopted by committee of the whole and put into and sent to the House Revenue Committee on February 12th, where it languished in Chairman Heiner's drawer until the deadlines for taking bills out of committee passed. It's sad because that was an interim committee bill. It was a well-vetted bill. It could have provided more money for us and our regional neighbors to provide for industrial siding impacts. But I thought it was kind of ironic that in Representative Heiner's communication to his constituents last weekend, he made the comment that it's basically too bad that a lot of good bills were dying because of the decisions of a few legislators, while he was sitting on a bill that had the potential to bring tens of millions of dollars of impact funds into our community. And that's not money that they're stealing from one pot to put into another. That is money paid in taxes by the industries that are doing these construction projects. It's money paid here in this community that would have stayed in this community instead of going into the state, which seems to be their problem, is the state has too much money. So here was a bill that could have solved that, and it died in Chairman Heiner's desk, and that really upsets me.
Thanks, Commissioner. Well said. Additional questions or comments for Commissioner Slaughter's report? I failed to read the Public Works Department report, so sorry about that, Gene. I'll edit that on the next meeting. I guess it was sitting right here, and I guess that's what I get for winging it. So apologize for that, but I'll update everyone on that. I did want to mention just quickly that, there's kind of been the elephant in the room this year as far as the legislature with property tax, and that has been passed as far as Senate File 69 goes at a 25% property tax reduction, residential property tax reduction, which is about $935,000 for the county's 12 mil. So just wanted to share that. With that, that concludes the commissioner comments. Job well done, all. That's going to move us right along into tab C, which is the action and presentation items portion of the agenda. First up under tab C is item number 1. We've got the renewal to liquor licenses for the 2025-2026 year. And with us this morning is Clerk Lane. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. The 2025-2026 licenses for county retail liquor, malt beverage permits, restaurant liquor, and limited retail liquor licenses for the following applicants. And last year we did them one group at a time. Do you want to still do it that way?
I think so.
This time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's break them up into, what is there, 3?
4.
That'll
Some
work.
are very short. All right. So first off, we have county retail liquor licenses, which is AHJT Enterprises doing business as White Mountain Mining. Buckboard Marina at Flaming Gorge doing business as Buckboard Marina. Eden Saloon, DBA Eden Saloon. Fast Stop, which is Cruel Jacks. The Hub, which is Mustang Travel Stop. Irish Cowboy, which is Green River RV Park. Kayar Distributing, Kelly's Hitching Post. Laylene A. Miller doing business as Mitch's. Little America Hotels and Resorts as Little America. Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores, Inc. as Love's Travel Stop number 888. And Varley Mercantile LLC doing business as Point Bar.
Thanks, Clerk Lane. Any questions or comments on any of these retail liquor license applications, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
as I have a personal interest in one of these licenses, I'll be abstaining from this group.
Very good. Any other comments? If not, we do need to open this up for a public hearing. So if anyone in the audience or online would like to speak to the renewals of these county retail liquor licenses, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the county retail liquor licenses, which we have just been.
You have a motion to approve the county retail liquor license applications by Commissioner Slaughter. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Richards abstaining. And next, we have the county resident liquor licenses, and I'll hand it back to Clerk Lane.
Thank you again, Chairman, Commissioners. Now we have our county restaurant liquor licenses, and we have one of those, and that is Purple Sage Ventures, doing business as The Login.
Questions or comments on the restaurant liquor licenses, Commissioners? If not, we also need to open this up for public hearing. So at this time, if there's anyone online or in the audience who would like to speak to the county resident or county, excuse me, restaurant liquor license, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the application for our county restaurant liquor licenses.
You have a motion to approve by Commissioner Slaughter. Do we have a second?
Second.
I would second that.
Too late. Second by Commissioner. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Motion's unanimous. That will move us right along into the county retail malt beverage permit applications, and I'll hand it back to Clerk Lane.
Okay, thank you again, Chairman. The county retail malt beverage permits are Crossroads Travel, doing business as Crossroads Travel Plaza, Eaton Investments, which is the Farson Feed Store, Little America Corporation, Little America, Mustang Travel Stop, and Roger D. Varley, which is the Point Merc.
Very good. Questions or comments on the retail malt beverage permit applications, Commissioners? With none, we do need to open this one up for public hearing. So if there's anyone online or in the audience who would like to speak to the county retail malt beverage permit applications, now would be the appropriate time. And with none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the applications for county retail malt beverage permits.
You have a motion to approve by Commissioner Slaughter. Do we have a second, Commissioner Tillman?
Second.
Yeah.
Got beat again. Second by Commissioner Richards. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Motion's unanimous. And finally, that's going to bring us to the county limited retail liquor licenses. And I'll hand it back to Clerk Lane.
All right, and last we have the county limited retail liquor licenses, which is Rolling Green Country Club, doing business as Rolling Green Country Club.
Questions or comments on this application, Commissioners? If not, we do need to have a final public hearing. So at this time, if there's anyone online or in the audience who would like to speak to the county limited retail liquor license application, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Commissioners, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the application Green Country Club for county limited retail liquor license.
You have a motion to approve by Commissioner Slaughter. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
I feel guilty. We're going to give that one to Commissioner Tillman. We'll give you that second.
Thank you. Thank you.
Further discussion? And those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And I did say aye on all of them in case you couldn't hear me.
Gotcha. Not a problem. Motion does pass unanimously. Thanks, Clerk Lane.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And that's going to move us to item number 2 under tab C, which is the approval of the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security contract for Regional Emergency Response Team number 4. Joining us this morning is County Grants Manager Christina Marshall, as well as Under Sheriff Tomich and Sheriff Grossnickel. Good morning.
Good morning. So, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, for your consideration, Sweetwater County was awarded state funding in the amount of $244,113.41 from the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security. It requires no cash match and expires on June 30th, 2026. So the purpose of this funding is to support emergency response teams with equipment associated with responses to weapons of mass destruction. It was funded during the 2024 budget session under House Bill 0001, which is considered called the General Government Appropriations Chapter 118, Section 001, Office of the Governor. It is actually sections 8 to 9. I have the bill in case you'd like me to email it to you for further analysis, but it's very small text. So this funding will be used to purchase critical equipment for the Sweetwater County Bomb Squad under the Regional Emergency Response Team, or WERT, number 4, which is overseen by the Sweetwater County Sheriff's Office. So the total budget of $244,113.41 will be used to purchase multiple items. The largest cost item is the bomb robot. There is also EOD bomb suits, plates and vests, EOD wiretap kits and supplies, and some other minor things. These are detailed in attachment A of your packet of the contract. So some notes. Portions of this project, specifically the bomb robot and wiretap kits, were submitted for federal grant funding through Homeland Security, but were specifically denied because of this pending House or budget session funding appropriation. It was actually included in the fiscal year 25 budget, so no amendment is necessary. The new bomb robot will replace an HD-1 robot originally purchased in 2009 and 5 years past its life expectancy. It is significantly antiquated and batteries are no longer in production. So in case you didn't know, the Sweetwater County Bomb Squad is the only bomb squad in the region and one of the busiest in Wyoming. It supports Sweetwater, Sublette, Lincoln, Uinta, Carbon, Fremont, and Daggett in Utah counties, protecting approximately 149,000 citizens who reside in the region. Final note, because the federal uniform guidance requirements do not apply to this award due to it being state funding. And so with that, I know the sheriff would like to speak about this very important project as well.
Very good. Thanks, Christina. Morning, Mr. Sheriff.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I just want to state how important these pieces of equipment are for our community, not only in the EOD world, but also in our tactical operations. And even more recently, we saw there was talk when we had the crash in the tunnels to send one of these robots in there to measure the toxic gas that was in there before we could send a person in to take care of the situation. So we use these in tactical situations where we don't want to jeopardize a life. We can approach vehicles with it. We can breach a building. We can go into a building. They have video. They have the ability to manipulate things. So we use them in the place of a human being, and they're very instrumental in us keeping our men and women safe that go out there and protect our community on a daily basis. So I just want to be aware of that. And if you have any questions, I'll stand.
Very good. Appreciate that. Questions, Commissioner Jones?
I don't have any questions, but I guess I would like to say last summer, I think after a commission meeting, we had an exercise with the bomb squad that I attended, and I know it was after a commission meeting because I was out there in some gear, also wearing a suit. So it was an interesting combination, but pretty pretty informative and kind of surprising. And I think for people who don't know what all is involved in this bomb squad, it's pretty detailed. It's pretty vast. The knowledge, the experience, the capabilities are capabilities that I just did not know existed locally anyway. And I do remember having a conversation about some of the equipment being antiquated. And so after seeing it firsthand and watching things take place, and I got to blow up a door too. So it was kind of fun. But in all seriousness, I mean, that the level of knowledge that's out there with the equipment is very, very impressive, and certainly gave me an opportunity to feel a little bit safer in Sweetwater County. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Slaughter?
Mr. Chairman, Sheriff, just a general question. Once this approval has gone through, how long will it take to actually receive the robot?
I'll defer
I
that
was
one
a
to the
lead-in for
undersheriff.
Joe.
Morning, Joe.
Morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Slaughter, to answer that question as best I can for you. So we're looking at, there's a couple of different manufacturers of these. The one that we're looking at is the same manufacturer that we've used since I think 2007 when we acquired the first robot. They actually asked us what we were looking at as far as time to expend the funds. So I think they'll work with us. They didn't give us an exact lead time, but historically, I would say we're probably at 6 to 12 months, just depending on how things go with them. And then just to expand on what Christina had said regarding the antiquation of that robot, not only is it antiquated at this point, it's actually been out of service for almost 3 years now because batteries have died. And it wasn't until about 1.5 years ago, we were able to get a replacement battery, which we didn't do at the cost of $25,000 per pack, knowing that the thing was antiquated and was headed out of service, and that we'd need 2 battery packs to run this thing. And it wasn't worth the county's expenditure of funds at that point to make that fix. And we knew a replacement was somewhere down the road. So thank you.
Additional comments or questions, commissioners? Just wanted to clarify, Christina, on the numbers. We don't get on social media, but every now and then we may see some comments. This is zero funding from Sweetwater County. This is a 100% grant coming from the state. Is that correct?
So, Mr. Chairman, commissioners, that is 100% correct. And I just want to clarify, as you know, grants is a very interesting word used in many forms. I want to emphasize this was approved and appropriated for specific use. In your contract, there are specific items to purchase. This is not discretionary money. It is not used for, random items. So it is what I consider a state grant. It has revenue appropriations. It will be tracked. It'll be segregated in project accounting. It'll have its own project, and it will reconcile to a zero balance after we have the expenditures and reimbursements.
Very good. Yeah, I just can't help but when I see, there was even a comment about a waste of taxpayer monies. And for one, obviously we've learned that's far from a waste, but two, there are no taxpayer monies involved here. So why wouldn't we take full advantage of a $244,000 gift like this? So thanks for clarifying that. Additional comments, follow up? I'd entertain a motion to approve the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security contract for the Regional Emergency Response Team Number 4 and authorize the chairman to sign all related documentation.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richards. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay,
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Appreciate the detail as always, Christina. Next under tab C is item number 3. We've got a request to staff a seasonal legal intern in the county attorney's office. With us this morning is HR Director Gary McLean, as well as our county attorney, Danny Aramosby. Good morning, gentlemen.
Thank you, County Commissioners. Mr. Chairman, before you is a request to try to staff a intern position for the county attorney's office. As you know, over the last, well, probably 3 years in particular, there's been a lot of challenges finding staff to fill positions within the department. There's still vacancies within the department. County Attorney Ermosby has gone to and conducted some job fairs and some number of other activities to try to identify folks that would be interested. We've addressed some salary issues. We've tried to approach it in a variety of ways. One of the avenues that seems to hold some promise, or at least is a cost-effective solution, is to see if we can identify some interns that are coming out of school that are interested in working in the department. Obviously, the challenge with that is they're not ready to go today, but maybe establish some interest and help down the road. It's an inexpensive option. It's particularly inexpensive if somebody has housing. There are some challenges, obviously, if individuals have to come and try to find housing. There's not a plethora of that in the community. So that would be something we'd be trying to work with them on. But be that as it may, it's a very inexpensive way to try to find out, one, if the individuals are interested in working as a prosecutor in the department, and second, if they are interested in living and working and residing in Sweetwater County. And that's certainly better than hiring somebody and going through that process of training and then finding out that they don't work. So the position does not require any additional funding. There's plenty of funding within the department due to the vacancies. So this is just one of the avenues we'd like to try to address some of the future and ongoing staffing needs. I'm sure Dan has some he'd like to add to that.
Yeah, if it's okay, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I just, as Gary said, I've gone to some job fairs. I went to Washington, D.C., and we were bombarded. Actually, we did pretty good as far as interviews. We had a lot of people interested, but they were students. And they were looking for internships. For some reason, Wyoming's they're not staying here. They're going out of state. We're competing with Colorado on a lot of these positions. And I'll be honest, thanks to this county, we pay well. We do well. We're competitive in salary, but we're not competitive in other aspects. And that makes it difficult to get people. So there's a philosophy of pipelining these potential attorneys by getting them any internships year after year. And then hopefully by the time they graduate and pass the bar, they're more interested in coming back here. Downside is by then we could have our positions filled and we've interned somebody and trained them and everything and they go someplace else. But the beauty of this one is that we've had people actually seek us out for positions. And we have had some applications from all over the country, nothing from Wyoming, which is really weird. I actually even signed up for a job fair for internships at the University of Wyoming, and they canceled us because we didn't have anybody sign up. And so they passed 39 people last year in the bar for Wyoming, gone, pretty much all gone. It's a problem nationwide. Nobody's going into prosecution. In Wyoming, nobody's going into prosecution and nobody's going into public defense. And so the best way we can do this is by getting them into our office. And then of course, once they're there, they're working for me. They can't turn that down, so hopefully we get them interested in coming back. And by the way, I just want to say, I think it's really nice that the sheriff showed up in his best Zelensky. That was a good look. Thank you. Please consider this.
Thank you both. Appreciate that. Yeah, and I think as been mentioned, you've been down, 2 positions for quite some time. So
yeah,
this is going to be, a cost neutral endeavor and probably still be looking at some carryover just being down that amount plus benefits and all that. So I think you got to adapt and do the best you can. I know the sheriff's office has looked at different avenues as well to try and attract people. So I support it, but I appreciate the information. Additional comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add, this may be an area as we go forth, as the board goes forth, looking at scholarship opportunities that the commission's traditionally sponsored, is maybe trying to target some of those areas that would really support county government. Obviously, scholarship maybe and some connections back here would be a good way to start the pipeline, as Dan mentioned. So that might be something we can talk about as we move forth with the commission scholarship opportunities in the future.
Very good. Any other comments? With none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the staffing of a seasonal legal intern in the county attorney's office as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slaughter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Our final order of business before us this morning under tab C is item number 4. We've got a GIS contact or contract discussion. And I believe with us is Assessor Davis as well as Land Use Director Bingham. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Dave Davis, the Sweetwater County Assessor. What we're here to do is to kind of get permission to move forward. We have, since the GIS position became vacant, Gene and Eric and I have been discussing the best way to go forward with this. And what we'd like to explore is a contract option. The last time this position was open, it took over 9 months to fill the position. And as the county assessor, our public data is shown on the map server. And it's a fantastic tool, but it's only good if the information is up to date and it's accurate. And just for an idea, the public uses this map server, banks, realtors, insurance companies, all kinds of people are out on that county map server, and it's a fantastic tool, but again, only if it's accurate. So what we would like to do is at least investigate going out to contract, see if we can find a local provider who would be willing to take this on. We think this is a good way to go. We think rather than having a full-time employee, we think the contract services would be a better way. The day-to-day stuff would be part of the contract. Any special services or special projects that needed, if Gene had big road project that required GIS work, then that would be something that would be paid on a contract basis, dollar per hour. But for the most part, everything that was in the job description for the GIS person before would be part of this contract. And I think it's a reasonable attempt to get this done now, because I can tell you right now, currently our map server is no longer up to date. We have had certain projects that have been completed within the county, and that particular parcel no longer is represented correctly on the map server. We would really like to get that rectified and sooner rather than later. So if we have your approval, we'll get started with this. And I have been working with Gene and Eric and Marty to make sure we get the bidding process down, we get the contract information, we get with John after we get your approval. Make sure that we're doing this the correct way. We did decide as a group that we want to work this through the assessor's office at this point, because most of the information would be for us to get to the public map server. So we would be basically the go-between any other departments that wanted a project done. They would go through us. We would forward it to the contract person. And we think this is a kind of a unique way to do it. And in the end, we all feel like this is probably a less expensive way to provide this vital service. We're just asking for your approval today.
Very good. Thanks, Dave. Just to be clear, you're looking for approval to go out to bid for contract services?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Questions? Mr. Slaughter?
Just a little bit concerned with how we would handle this within our budget. Obviously, there is funding which has been approved within the planning budget for this position, with it being vacant and the position being moved to the assessor's office. How would you propose that we handle those contract services at that point in time moving forward?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Slaughter, I have a line item in my budget for professional services. It's where my industrial appraisers are at. It's where my mailing service is at. I would actually just add it to that once we had that dollar amount. And then as people came in my head, it's like unemployment. I mean, if Eric had a project that came through and he needed 10 hours from the GIS person, he would take from his budget, he would take his professional services and he would actually have the line item that paid for those 10 hours of that work on that project. But as far as a general contract work, because everything really, a majority of it comes through our office, we would have the bulk of the contract in my budget. So, he would lose an employee, my contract services would go up, but in the end, we still think it's a win countywide.
Do you have enough in your professional services line item to cover it as we look at, we may be looking at not filling it until the next fiscal year, obviously, but if we were to fill it
Yeah.
sooner, would you have enough to cover that? Or how would you expect a budget amendment to address that? Or-
We may have to have a budget amendment. That would be the worst case scenario. I do have some legal in my budget that I have every year. If I don't use it, it just rolls back over. But that's something in that same line item that we could potentially use if it was available. If I do have an appeal that requires contract services for my appraisers to come up and defend my value, that budget line item will be exhausted. So the answer is maybe. So yeah, I may have money, but we'll see. We'll work it out. But
Thank you.
Additional comments, questions? Eric, do you have anything you want to add?
No, Mr. Chairman, not really. If the budget is an issue and I can work with Dave on that, I will probably have some carryover in personnel because obviously, there was a payout of accruals, so I'd have to see where we're at with that. But I actually have two open positions. Well, I had two, and then I have now down to one. So there's been some cost savings there. So we could look at that too, transferring or whatever it may be, because obviously I'm not going to exhaust those funds in there. So just to throw that out there too, the possibility of that too. So
Sounds like everyone's on the same page and
Yeah.
in agreement with the direction. Okay.
yeah.
Sounds good. Any further discussion? Clerk Lane? She's sneaking in behind you.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. I just had a suggestion because I too use GIS, especially during redistricting, and it's a lot of hours. We also have our general county fund that has professional service lines in it, just something to think about. Where then we're not trying to get 10 hours here and there because I won't know what that will entail, or whoever's in there won't know how much that will entail. But that's just something to think about. We also have our general county budget we use for professional services such as the audit, because it doesn't come out of any one of our budgets. And so if we're all using it as a county, that might be something then Dave doesn't have to try to get different movements and stuff. We could just kind of put it into that and we can all use it as we need. That's just a suggestion.
You're on your own.
Thanks, 'cause that's a fun time.
No, I appreciate that.
yeah, and just for clarification too, Mr. Chairman, we did work with the job description that the GIS person currently had. So we looked at that and we looked at any modifications that we thought we needed to make in the contract to help cover some of the, silly stuff that comes up every once in a while. That's in there as well. But like I said, anything brand new and different, again, it's, we got to be fair to the provider too and make sure they're getting compensated for the work they're actually doing. But I do think this is the right way to go. And we may try this for a year or two. And if it blows up, we'll do something else. But at this point, and I'm concerned right now because we may not get this hired until, it's March now. It might be not mid-April, might even be May. Fiscal year at that point is just about over and we can probably find some money for that. But like I said, right now, there are parcels that have been split or combined in Sweetwater County that are not shown accurately on the map server. And that's something that's going to generate some issues for my office. And I'd really like to at least have a plan in place for the people that are going to call. And you'd be amazed. Somebody buys a parcel. The first thing they do when they get home is go out and see if it's on the map server yet. You got to give us some time for the paperwork to come through. But at this point, some of that stuff is just not going to show. If it's a complicated legal description, something has to be researched or has to be, drawn out. The polygon has to be confirmed with the legal. That's a bigger deal. And that's something that we need this service for. And it is a huge advantage for all of our offices and the public as well.
Very good. With
Mr.
that,
Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
Dave, is there contractors out there available to pick up.
Yeah.
Approving this doesn't do any good if there's not anybody out
Right,
there.
there are. We believe there are locally. I would prefer to stay local. There's a lot of this work that tends to have deed research done. And being able to go back in the land recording department is a tremendous advantage. So we're hoping to stay local first. But in the event we get bids outside the county, we'll always consider those as well. But we're hoping local first. And we do think there are vendors here.
With that, commissioners, I'd entertain a motion to approve the assessor's office going out to bid for a GIS contract service as discussed.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Thanks, gentlemen. Good luck.
On a legislative note, since you guys did bring that up earlier, the assessors are having a Zoom meeting next Monday with the Department of Revenue, the Property Tax Division. And we should have at least more information on how the dust is all going to settle with the property tax legislation that's out there, what's been signed, what's been vetoed, what's been overridden, who knows how it's all going to go. But we should have a better idea how that's going to work, how we're going to manage it in our system, and hopefully what the dollar amounts are going to be for all the special districts, all of the component units, tax authorities, everybody. So hopefully next week we'll have a little bit better idea where this is all going to fall.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you putting the spreadsheets together and keeping us informed too, Dave. It's always easy to go back to factual data rather than assumptions. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be nice, like you said, once all the dust settles to, be able to put together a summary because it's all over the place, right? And there's still bills from last year. And I think some of those are superseded now or however that works. And then obviously sunset dates. So
Right.
I think if we can get together and kind of have a
Sure.
factual summary, that might be helpful for not only us, but certainly the public.
Yeah, and I cannot thank the Department of Revenue enough. I mean, Brenda Henson, the director, and her property tax division director, Ken Gill, have been fantastic. And not only monitoring the legislation, but testifying in front of the committees and then actually finding a way to implement some of this stuff. That group and the fact that all of the assessors are on the same mass appraisal system is such a win for us. And I hope the state of Wyoming never gets silly enough to change that. So,
Very good. Appreciate the info.
okay, thank you.
Commissioners, I think that is a record today for the shortest meeting here today, which is usually foreshadowing of some lengthy meetings ahead, especially heading into budget. So we'll count this up as a win. And with no further business, this meeting stands adjourned.